Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. It is a great pleasure to me to be here. Somehow we started and discussed at the beginning if semiconductor is already part of the old economy or if it's just new. Thinking about digital life design. And I think there is a big trend to combine digital with real life. And there is where we are coming in, and there is also where we believe that there is a great need and a great opportunity for us when it is about converging hardware and software. Why do I have chosen this title, Getting More with Less? I think we all are we recognize the limitation on this world. We recognize the need that everybody has a decent living, considering that we are on a real kind of continuous growth towards this huge number of inhabitants. Everybody wants to have a decent life. Everyone wants to have food. Everybody wants to be healthy. That is a big demand. How can we manage this in a time of, I would say, more and more scarce resources? The growing megacities. We are looking to foreign countries about the conditions of life which the megacities are causing. But we need these because that is combined with the industrialization. So we have to solve a problem. When you look at now how to do it, and then I come right away to the point of, is it possible that the new age of, I would say, the digital age, combined with the real world, can help us to solve many of these problems? And I want to say, I think there is a huge possibility behind. I have shown here just some examples where I believe that it is extremely valuable already what we have seen. The energy, currently the oil price is low, but I think this will be a temporary effect only. We have to think how we further improve the carbon footprint on this world. I think here there's a huge opportunity to move to renewable energies. But renewable energies do not fit to our usage pattern. When the sun is shining, you have power. When you potentially want to run something, it doesn't fit together. So the big question, how to manage this, I will say here, it's a big issue and it's a huge opportunity to move into the space of digital life. The next is, I think, working conditions. Everybody knows in order to have a decent living, you have to earn reasonably. In order to earn, I think very simple job do not deliver high earnings. Productivity across all what we do is key. Here you have seen a picture about the machinery industry. The combination between old machine industry, digital, the digital age, the internet of everything, offers great opportunities. Well, maybe not so much just in order to refurbish these machines. I think this is not enough thinking. We have to think much further beyond of this. But again, both elements and even the elements on the bottom show you have to connect in order to make it happen. Digital life, you have to connect the real life, the real world, with the digital, I would say, backbone. And you see it even on the bottom. I would say, everybody is talking about autonomous driving, and I think there is a great value in, maybe not in the cities, but when you go to the highways for the commuters, why not using the time of commuting, doing something better? I think this can be a very good start for autonomous driving on the highway. It is also that you may reduce the CO2 footprint also by this, because you manage all of this much more steadily. You can even plan ahead for those who are using electric cars where and how to charge. And I think on the right bottom, agricultural. If you think about that, you are addressing the fertilizer in the very right amount per even square meters, and you just use it on the fields. I think there's a huge potential around there to, I would say, even feed these billions of people being there and to come. But again, it is not about digital, it is not about I would say, the real life only. It is how to combine it. And I think this is a picture all you know pretty well, and it is where I think it tells a lot of story, and the majority of you are already addressing things. Smart home, I would say smart mobility, smart factory, smart energy. All of these is said, but I think here the big challenge is not that you have only, and I come to the big challenge there at the end. You have to solve one problem where you maybe connect one with the other, or you retrieve big data. This is a very complex world, and it needs a lot of know-how and competency to manage these real world. And there are many more possibilities, managing and making life possible for the aging population, medical areas. All of these becomes possible. But again here, and I'm standing here as a representative of semiconductor industry, in order to drive this, you need to combine sensors, microprocessors, power semiconductors with the ability of communication, software, and I would say the use of all of these elements. And I think here I have to I show you just, I do not go into the details, but many people think this is very easy. Just read the data, use the data. This is the picture which I got out of the Harvard Business Review about the smart agriculture. Of course, you have a truck, and you can add some, I would say, elements to the truck. That is not enough. If you want to have smart agriculture, you have to think about how to combine the field. With the people to think about when you have water, which are the products you want to grow on the field? At which time do you want to harvest? What the machine backbone behind? How to make use of the transportation? You will combine weather data. You will combine, I think, even market data and demands with the ability to grow and harvest. I think this is a lot of elements come together, but there is a huge potential, because all what I'm addressing is more out of less, and definitely we are facing less. And I think here to provide a decent life, and I even would say a peaceful life, then there must be enough for kind of everybody. And I think here the digital world combined with the real world has a great opportunity. And I want to summarize it very briefly at that point. I think the key capability must be combining or interfacing real world with the digital world. It is the ability to manage complex systems. It is not about linear anymore. Managing complex systems, you have to have the data, you have to have the ability to analyze data, but you also have to have the ability how you get more out of these data and define a system which you then can reuse in order to drive further elements. And I think here one thing which we always forget, if you are in the, I would say, social network and privacy, data security might not matter in the first place as much. But I tell you, when you open the door of your factory to the outside world, I'm pretty sure you want that only those data which you want to get out, gets out. And you also want only those people getting in who you entitle. I think there is much more about this, and when you ask how is Industry 4, which is a pretty hype in Germany, moving, it is moving not so fast because this problem is not solved. If you think about connected mobility, your car being connected to the internet, same. I think you do not want that somebody can brake your car or accelerate it remotely. So the first car which drives into the next pond, well, I think here raise a lot of questions, and much more to come on this side. So I think here the connected age, and connected means really from the real world to the digital area, to the thinking and data and systems, and bring this back into the real world is something where a huge number of opportunities are around. And I think the majority of those we have not even thought of, And I think in order to create those, we have to leave the old system, the old thinking, and try to think completely different in order to find new ways. It is, from my point of view, not possible to think this in an evolutionary manner. You have to step out and maybe then find your way back and bring the elements together. So I believe there is a huge possibility inside, and there is even a huge demand if we orchestrate it correctly and bring all of these elements together. And I think it is also a part where we need more of the scientists to think about how you can make all of these predictions, how you make the analysis, and also how you manage the total system. With this, I think I come already to the end, but the message is pretty simple. We believe there's a lot possible to make a reasonable, attractive world happening by using the digital life, the digital time, combined with the real world. But I think there is a long way to go, and what we have seen today as my personal impression, which we all talk about, where we already are in being connected, it is as the title is, it's only the beginning, and from my point of view, maybe we are still ahead of the beginning. But this we can debate later. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Reinhard. That was very interesting. But let me be contrarian. I mean, the DLD is kind of a software crowd. It's about data. It's about lifestyle. And I think this was the first presentation about chips I've seen at DLD. I wondered, I mean, do we still need chips? I mean, of course we need chips, but do we need specialized chips of the kind you produce? Can't it be done by software?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, of course, software plays a major role, but you need, when you think about chips, then all of the new devices you have, more and more is not differentiating only by the performance, which is in the software and enabled by hardware. You think about battery lifetime, you think about different chips when you think so. Sensors is a key driver there. When you think about the next generations of mobile phones, maybe even able to measure the height just by measuring the air pressure and differentiate by meters. So I think all of these the usability or the value add comes from connection to the real world. There is no software cannot connect to the real world. You need the chips. You maybe need different chips than yesterday, but I'm pretty sure you need quite some of them.
But I mean, for a long time, kind of there was this separation between hardware, the chips, and the software. And it seems to me that's kind of getting more fuzzy.
I think there has been always, when you talk about semiconductor, you talk about system integration. And what we see, definitely, there is a system integration which now takes more and more software as part of. And I think when you think about the new watches you can wear at your arm, there's a single chip, which I would say a few chips maybe, which contains so much. And really the thinking is about how to extend battery lifetime while adding functions. So yes, we do not think in single component, we think in systems.
Okay, now what you've shown to us is it's all about kind of the digitization of the economy. And there's a big debate in Germany about how to move German industry in particular forward in digitization. It seems to me, and you kind of alluded to it, it's actually quite slow. So what do you think are the challenges here? Is it because Germany is so kind of a country of manufacturers that it has trouble moving into this new world? Is it about data protection?
I think what we have to think about in this area is what are the new business models. I think the problem is if you just add ability to a machine that it can communicate to something, then there is no real value add. What we have to think differently, what can be real value add. For our company, we have implemented already quite a lot of this fourth generation of industry, and for me, it is more to generate with the data more knowledge, accelerate the innovation, and learn faster. So of course it comes together with higher productivity and many other things, but foremost it is to accelerate the learning and reduce the time to market.
But again, what are the barriers in Germany to digitization? I mean, if it seems to me that, I mean, this is kind of the birthplace, one of the birthplaces of industrialization.
Yeah, my impression with this is that the people are very hesitant and nervous about this open communication. I already said it, that there is a high level of sensitivity, and it's very clear when you open the doors of the factory to more or less public, then I think you might have visitors inside you might not like to have. So the IT security is one of the big hurdles. I think it is not really a differentiator, but a must to be solved item. And I think that is not only there a must in getting it solved. I think also in connected mobility and other areas and critical infrastructure, the people want to make sure you know whom you talk to.
Tell me a bit more about this. You mentioned this, the Industry 4.0, 4.0. What is that? I mean, it seems to me it's kind of an attempt to build an industrial Google in Germany, or how should I understand this?
I think the attempt is that to think about today we think about single machines and try to optimize the machine. So Industry 4 is the idea that you combine a machine which is pretty smart, even with the piece you want to manufacture, and this becomes smart too. And it is looking for its own, well, where is the next free machine? It is optimizing itself for, I do not need a high-performance machine, I need a good enough machine. Good enough machine can also be a machine which is basically high performance, but being close to needing maintenance. So here you can optimize your factory as a total setup. And one idea is also with this, you more or less have an order, you want to have this machine built, you transfer your whole construction to a set of suppliers, and you finally get the feedback about the lousy construction you have done and what you can optimize, but at the end it runs by itself and it gets produced and you need to care for, and all the materials and the rest gets ordered automatically. And even if it is you have priorities on being fast, you can make optimization on available, maybe even more expensive material. So the question is really about time to market. It is about being able to have a lot size to produce one and to produce several thousands.
No, last thing, I mean, if Henry Budget mentioned it this morning, how powerful Google is, and it's getting more powerful. And there's one country in particular which is kind of afraid of Google, which is Germany. So, and it's, I mean, some people have described it as Google phobia. So how do you explain this reaction in Germany to Google, and do you agree?
Yeah, I think here somehow Google has achieved already what I think we somehow need. It is to have a big backbone managing the data. What they don't have yet is the trustworthiness regarding the managing of the data. So many people are now pretty nervous that these, I would say, combining machines, cars, maps, and everything, they have the data in order to provide these services. So many people are nervous today that I think the competition will not come from behind. Not really being nervous about the Google car is that the people are not interested in the value add of having a car. It is of value add of driving experience, which might come from Google. So it shifts the decision making based on different elements. But I would not be, I would say, of course, a lot of respect about Google. I would think about what can be built up cooperating with Google or using Google or complementing the data Google has with the ability of providing a high level of security backbone. So I think here it is not to be against, it is, I would say, using what is there, teaming up, gaining speed, and accelerate. I think here fighting and I would say even an alternative search engine, I think does not really make sense at the moment.
Well, what should Europe do? I mean, there's a real danger, I think, for certain industries to get commoditized by data-driven companies like Google.
I think Europe can build on the industry we have. This is machinery industry, this is a car industry. All of these are in the need of data and are providing data, and I think even there can be value add by managing these in the internet. So we have to think about how to provide an open architecture where you can manage, I would say, securely the data and think about additional business models. Looking into Germany, there is one place I think where we already see that things are taking up. It is Berlin, which you think about new apps, additional possibility. And I think the automotive industry within Germany, within Europe, I think will understand what has to be done in order to save their position and add what is needed.
Let's hope so. Thanks a lot, Mr. Ploss.
Thank you very much. Thank you.